Get it out.
Yeah. This is it's the springtime curse. I have been dealing with this in podcasts for 3 to 4 years now. It is the February and March cough. The cough is not related to any illness. It's just like a dry. It only happens when I get in front of microphones. It's stupid. It's like it's a psychological
dry
thing.
demon.
It's the dry demon of podcast cough. And I had hoped to get down here before or early enough to I have software that it's an app called Shush, and I can at least like set a hotkey on my keyboard so I can mute. It's like a little cough button. I didn't get down here and install it in time tonight, but you can bet next week that we'll be cough free because I'll at least be just not, I'll be hitting that button. Look, there's Paul. He really is in his closet. Oh my gosh. This is bizarre. Okay. So.
Let me see how
Oh, this is going to be great.
This room feels not as dark as it looks on.
Yeah. Well, here's what I did. I'm gonna take it down. I got this little selfie ring.
Oh, well, look at you.
It just came in the mail today. I might suggest you pick one up. It was like less than $10. I'll send you a link. Because we need to make sure that everything in the background of your closet is well lit. And looking good. So, and I don't know. I mean, you can, I suppose, do different things from week to week, like maybe, arrange the clothes back there by different colors, or I don't know. It's just kind of up to you. All right, so it's been quite a week, of you starting some discussions. You had some good things that you started earlier this week on Facebook, trying to get some fodder for the show. And it was successful. Yeah. So what was the question? Let's pose the question. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we got.
It was about. Yeah, was it? I can't remember how I phrased it. It was like, what is more destructive to creativity?
Yeah,
is that what it was?
I believe that was it. I'm gonna have to try to bring it up. Hey, we got a watcher. Hey, Charlie from Tulsa.
Oh my! Oh my!
Hey.
Okay, which do you feel is more damaging to creativity? Pick one.
Okay.
I always do that just to annoy people, to make them make a choice, because everyone would say, it's all of them.
It's everything.
Of course.
It's everything. Right.
Okay, number one, fear over how others react. Mm-hmm. Number two, lack of confidence in your abilities. Number three, compromising your vision or ideas. Number four, pursuing a profitable outcome. Again, the question was, which is more damaging to creativity? That's that had basically every option people answered.
Maybe we should give me some rationale behind each one. Obviously, you also can kind of say, well, it's all four for me because you made up the four answers. That's kind of how I see it. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd say anyone. I think everyone's probably all of them at some point, maybe not all at the same time, right? I mean, I was trying to think of any time where I've not liked the outcome of something I've done, and there might be more, but it usually boiled down to one of these four things. It's just fear, really. Not liking something when you've pushed it out is usually a lack of confidence for you in what you've done. Like, let's say you think that it's imitative or not your best work, whatever. There's all sorts of things why it's just a lack of self-confidence. There's also been times that it could be too collaborative. You can listen to too many voices. You can just water down the results. Designed by committee is often difficult and and then sometimes you're only doing something because it will make money. I thought about putting in pursuit of popularity, but that's really just a fear of how others are going to react. You want to be popular.
Yeah.
In a way, it kind of fits in the middle. But that was the other one I thought about, but I'm like, There's a lot of reasons.
It's splitting hairs for sure.
It could go into a bunch of those. Like, if you want to be popular, it's because you think you're going to make money, or you want to be popular because you're afraid of rejection.
Yeah. I also kind of, for me, the answer changes depending on what, on whether it's a commercially creative product or I'm doing this to make me happy or get the ghost demons out of my hair or any of those types of things. That definitely colors the answer for me. How about you?
Yeah, I would say it's situational. Again, like, I was trying to think of any project or any part of a project that I've worked on where I felt like it was not the best that I could do. The pursuing profit, I wanted to see if people would answer that. I mean, part of that was my thinking about how corporations have to make revenue.
Yep.
But at what point does the pursuit of revenue become damaging? Where, if you know enough about psychology and user research, you can use that to pretty damaging effect.
Yeah.
You can creatively manipulate people to do things. I mean, that's what Facebook's algorithms are doing. So that's kind of where my thinking was. Like, the pursuit of profit can snowball into some pretty significant compromises, not in a good way.
I like the cartoon that you put the next day, because it really was related to the whole thing. And also related to that notion of the anxiety that we talk about and things like that. That you can't outrace that self-doubt, which, I mean, for me, the answer number 2, lack of confidence in your abilities. That's kind of where I'm at most of the time. And
I'd say I'm number 1 and 2 most of the time.
Yeah, number 1 and 2. Lack of number 2 is mostly for me. I actually had I had an interesting phone call this morning where I kind of talked a lot about that. Had on Twitter this afternoon, a friend that I used to work with. Actually, it was very, very strange, because this was exactly what I was talking about in the phone call. And the tweet said, that moment when you realize that you peaked in 2014.
Oh, man.
Which is exactly what I was talking about this morning on the phone call. And it was all about, the phone call was all about, all right, 2014, I had worked on writing and thought leadership and tweeting and making videos and podcasting and doing all these things to let everybody know that I'm a person who knows what he's talking about. And I worked all my way up to speaking at South by Southwest 2014. And then that's the last the world has ever heard of me, pretty much, and, or at least professionally speaking.
Sure.
And so the call was kind of like, all right, how does Stella get his groove back? Because a lot of that has to do with that lack of confidence. It's like, I have no idea how, even though in the end, I mean, a lot of the advice that was given to me was pretty simple and obvious stuff and it's always interesting how, when you're really close to a problem, the easiest answers are the least obvious ones. But, the the answers really were so simple as, well, maybe you should start writing again about those things that people actually paid attention to you for in the first place. Really? Maybe I should do that. So, those types of things. And, you get down on yourself and you can doubt yourself so much that you forget exactly where you are, where you're trying to go, what you're trying to accomplish. And, that's a killer of creativity too. I mean, I guess that is still number two. It's lack of confidence. So, yeah.
Like if 2014 was your peak, what was it about it that you peak? You know what I mean? Like, I guess this is where my brain goes, because believe me, I get it. Like, my peak was probably way long time ago, and I've been coasting downhill ever since. But it also is my perception of when I was my best. But it might have been because I thought people were paying attention. I'm like, was that really what makes me good? Is that people were paying attention?
Yeah, well,
and who was who cares who knew what I did, or who cares that I gave a TEDx talk?
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a shit? Doesn't matter.
Well, I guess.
I mean, it mattered to me. I guess that's part of it too. You were saying this too. Is like what your goal is. Like, if your goal be design famous, then that's hard. That's a pursuit that's going to always
you're never going to do that.
No, but or if it's to be busy, or if it's to have high profile clients, or to work for a company that has a lot of cachet, like I work at Facebook or I work at Google or whatever. Those are all pursuable.
Yeah,
but it comes back to.
That was part of it.
Where did you work? I mean, that's what you have to start thinking about.
Yeah, and for me, it was that, speaking at South by Southwest was that gateway of, it's like, okay, I've worked, I've done all these speaking. I like doing speaking. I want to do more speaking. Boom, boom, boom. Here I am now on, arguably a global stage. Boom. Here's talk number one on a global stage, and then I say thank you, and I never come out for an encore. And I would like to do more speaking.
Sure.
And so from that standpoint, I mean, that's kind of where this particular conversation was going, is like I got exactly where I wanted to be, or where I wanted to say, all right, man, now I'm really going to be able to go. And I'm not talking about, going and speaking in Europe and all those things. It'd be nice, but I mean, I don't have any illusions that that's what I'm going for. But I would like to have 2 or 3 nice speaking engagements a year. And they don't have to be super rock star places, but it just, places where I can go meet some people, talk to people about interesting things. And, that's kind of what I wanted to do. And I dropped that ball for a number of reasons.
Sure.
All of which in hindsight were all valid for what I did. It's just that, it's that trade-off. I gave up that one thing for something else. And now that, and that was before I had started my own business. And now I'm kind of seeing that, I dropped that, but that would also be really, really beneficial to me and my livelihood. So I'm trying to figure out how to put the two back together and move forward with it.
So you see speaking as a means of what? Educating?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of both. It's, speaking would be, educating others, being able to network and just hang out and talk shop with people. But it's another one of those things that when I'm thinking about or whatever subject matter that I end up talking about, people people outside of the design community, and I know that that's not going to be a lot of things or a lot of people, but they might see what I'm talking about and going, oh wow, that guy really seems to know what he's talking about, and he is talking about problems that we have with our website or with our brand or with our story, and maybe since he knows so much of what he's talking about and he's going and people are paying him to go to their city and speak, then he might be the person we need to call him. So that's kind of my thought.
Yeah, I did the speaking tour, if you will, for like a year and a half, 2 years, and you will see the same people. Which none of this is a bad thing; it's just a thing. Like there's people that just are speakers. They'd speak every year. They'd change their talk. Maybe every year, maybe every 2 years. It's just what they do. It's what they're known for. And they go to the same regimented places, the same people that will invite them back. And none of that's a bad thing. It's just an interesting thing. Like it's kind of in and of itself is its own beast, its own sort of preaching to the choir machine.
Yeah,
like you can't. It's so crazy to think of how many people there are that do design that have no idea who half the people are. That there's even a conference that they could go to about it, and then but they know of this other thing. That's this whole other conference that all these other people don't even know. But it's just I found it fascinating, like how, after doing it for this amount of time, how I thought it was so great, and then just kind of stepping back and being like, am I making any impact at all? Is this doing anything any good other than for my own ego? Where I'm speaking to 200 people and that's it. Mm-hmm. And they're the same people that you'll see at the conference again somewhere else.
Well, I guess, that's the question. Is it the same people? Yeah. They're just the conference circuit people?
Yeah. It's sort of weird. I'm like, it's not always true. That's not always true, but there is this pocket of. So then I'm like, so what am I doing? Yeah. I enjoyed the talk, but I'm like, I don't know that anyone got anything out of it. I tried to be different, stand out from what other people talked about. I can't teach you about animating SVGs or using React components to build a, multi-platform app. I understand all of those things, but I'm the guy to tell you. So what I talked about, farts.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. It was monsters and farts. I mean, it got a lot deeper than that, but it was the true message was your audience, and you have to have a motivation for why you're delivering something to them. For me, it was to take away the power and threat of growing up from kids by saying that the farts make them defeatable, and through language, through design, through all that stuff. So it's like I'm always really way too conceptual, way too people I just want to know how to make a design system. I'm like, ugh. That stuff doesn't
go talk to Brad Frost.
Yeah. But that's what people want. So that's also kind of what happened. Where it's I always personally, I like speaking about stuff that I'm passionate about, which is always being much more deep about why we do what we do and how half the time what we do is bullshit because we don't really think about it. Mm-hmm. And when you do think about it, you can maybe make some impact for people, but they just wanted to know how to make a design system, how to make something look cool.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing to you would be write. I think that's the impact, writing. Do these videos. Do videos for yourself, not for speaking and going around some places. Because those typically no one except who are there will see it. If you really want to get people out there, go back to doing your video stuff.
That's true.
Like this.
That is true. Yeah.
Don't wait for someone to invite you. Just start doing it.
Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start just making keynote presentations and I'm just gonna make them, and I'm gonna talk about them, and I'm gonna
make a fun video. Intersperse you talking with.
I'm just thinking about how unnerving it would be for me to actually create
rent a stage.
Yeah, create keynote presentations and present them to an audience of no one, but record them.
That would be amazing. They've set the camera up. Go to like 3 cameras that you can control with your little remote.
Yeah.
And then you have a presentation, but you should have shots of the audience where there's nobody. But I mean, honestly, think about like YouTube stars and stuff. They're not waiting around for TV shows to come their way.
No, they're not. They're going into suicide forests.
People like Rhett and Link. I don't know if you know who they are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't wait around for some Discovery Channel or whatever you might fit anywhere because they're music, but like they didn't wait around. They just started doing their own thing. Do that.
Yep. No, I think
you're in control of your content. You're in control of the delivery. You're in control of the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Here's a thought. So not only did I peak in 2014, I left my mindset in 2010. Boom. You know what? I'm done. I no more words.
So our task for next week is to present to each other. Talk. Jeremy, here's my talk for just you. It's just for you. It's on the cocktail napkin and how it transformed into the shakes.
Which then transformed into this show. Oh, jeez.
It's called How to Lose Friends.
How to Lose Friends over the course of 7 to 8 years.
How we all grow up and some of us don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I spend my days making sure that our creepy customer who comes in and yells at us about stuff doesn't find me. We have
somebody comes in, like comes to the office. Okay,
because he knows where we are. And he's super old, and he buys gold. So his whole thing is to look for gold. And he works for a company that just resells gold somehow. I don't know.
Cash for gold?
It just comes in. Why did you change the website? I can't find anything now. I'm like, sorry. We tested it and it works better. We feel like every now and then, like since we know his ID to like isolate the website that looks like Craigslist just for him.
Kind of gray balling him in your own special way, like Uber's thing. Yeah.
Anything fun happened this week other than?
No, I mean, just that big, my big thing of just trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up.
Isn't it terrible? That's the truth. Like,
yeah.
And I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and I don't know that I'll ever be something that I want to be when. I don't know when I will be grown up.
Oh.
It'll probably be too late. Yeah, I feel like it's because the world is changing and the way what we do fits into the world, if you will, is developing that I never feel like I'm caught up isn't the right word. I'm not really proficient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like there's always something I have to chase, which is nice in a way. I don't become stagnant. I never feel comfortable, or comfortable is probably not the best word either. I never feel stable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that make sense? Like,
yes, I can.
Everyone's role they do is changing, and how we go about design is changing, and you're trying to just keep up. And you're like, but are we still doing basically the same thing? Like, no.
Oh, yeah.
It's user stories and it's product maps and, design systems and user surveys and testing to understand how it affects this based on the analytics and the A/B tests. And like all of that's great and cool, but it's always trying to catch up and then use. Are you using Sketch? No, I use Photoshop. No, you should be using Figma. Figma? What? No, now we're using that. Like it's always, and obviously we can't know if it's always been that way. We can only know what we know now, but it feels like it's just every year.
I honestly think that I mean, we've been around long enough to know that it really kind of wasn't that way, or at least, I mean, to a degree, it has always been that way, but it hasn't been as bad. Like, I would say the last 5 years has seen an exponential change in, the tools that you use and the technology stack and the this and that and the other, and all of those things. That's always been around. And back 18 years ago, should you use active server pages, or should you use PHP, or should you use JSP, or like which are those things? Well, but there was less of it at that time.
Or it was harder to spread, because now we all have our own voice bot, like Twitter and Facebook and all these things to spread, build social pressure about what you're using, which, if you're so inclined, you're always looking for the next thing. Like, they're a person that I think is awesome, so I believe them. Like before, I don't even know how we knew.
Listserv.
It's so hard to remember. There were message boards.
Message boards and mailing lists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's basically like you learn the tools that you learned in magazines.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
There was HAL magazine, or like Mac World, or
Mac World.
I mean, maybe that was it. I do remember going to the bookstore a lot just to look at magazines.
Yeah. Yeah. Not
the bathroom
alone. Them.
Yeah.
Then you put them back. Same here.
This was in the bathroom.
Yeah.
That's why I would hand it to somebody like, I took this in the bathroom.
This has been flagged.
It's got flagged.
It definitely corresponds with social media and also the popularity of Facebook, because even though I've been on Facebook for about 10 years, it hasn't really been a thing except for the last 5 to 7.
Yeah.
So, I think that's got a lot to do with it. But I do also think that it's the number of tools, technologies, techniques, all of those things available are much more than what they were. So.
Yeah. And there's it's easier for people to build tools. If there's so many, it has to be because the bar has been lowered.
Well, the fact that so much of it is web-based.
That too.
That's a huge shift also.
Yeah.
And that definitely has only been within the last 5 to 7 years tops.
And it's not just
I guess probably about 10 years ago was when I first started seeing complete web-based apps that you subscribe to and use. But
I'm sure developers must have the same problems with how many different, what's the next JavaScript component type thing, and then it's programming language, and I've seen that shift from, like you're saying, like, did you build it in PHP or in .NET, and then just everything keeps changing. And I guess that's maybe why we don't feel like we're grown up, or maybe we're just childish. That could be it too. That's another one that I thought about putting on that list of damaging, was arrogance.
Yeah. Okay.
I didn't do it because I didn't quite know how to defend it. That you think are beyond insight or guidance or learning. Because I know people, I know I probably have the tendency, I'm like, I'm older than you. I've been doing this for way longer. Mm-hmm. You don't have anything that I haven't already heard or seen or tried.
Yeah.
But there's also plenty of young people who think that too. Like, you're old and stupid and you don't know. As a parent, you deal with it all the time with your kids. Like, I could run out the street where there's cars, out of my way. Like, fine. The arrogance of thinking that you're beyond criticism, critique, help, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. But I didn't put it in because I'm like, I don't think anyone would admit to that. Because basically, you're going to read these questions, you're going to think of yourself, not someone else. So I'm like, I steered away from it.
It's an interesting thought behind why you didn't put it. but it also makes me think again. Something that came up in the call this morning is, and I'm trying to decide whether this is, whether it fits in what you're saying about arrogance, or if it's the antithesis of arrogance, or maybe it's the perceived arrogance from others. But it was the thought of, just because you're somebody who's been around for a while, or is very established, or is seen as a, guy on top, also read arrogant possibly. Just because you're one of those people doesn't mean that you don't need support too. And a lot of people think, well, he's there. He's, this big whatever. I don't need to share his blog post or support him in any way, because he's got, what does he need me for? Well, if there's not an audience, or not somebody there to appreciate the creativity, work on getting feedback or anything like that, that doesn't help either. What do you think? Is that the antithesis of what you're saying, or is that,
you're saying it from someone else's perspective towards you?
Yeah, I'm saying it from others. Yeah.
Why would Brad Frost or Ethan Marcotte or any of those, why would they need my help? Everyone knows what they do. Right. Everyone knows. So you mean maybe they're projecting?
Well, I guess that's what I'm thinking, because that's exactly the type of thing. Yeah, I guess it would be projecting arrogance onto them, because you're kind of thinking, well, yeah, why would Brad Frost need my help?
Right.
He's got a million people looking at his stuff, so what does it matter if I share it?
Right.
But if you have enough people who have that attitude, then guess what? Nobody shares it.
Yeah.
So,
and then worse is when you ask for it from people and you just want to tell them that they're wrong. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Please help me with this. And why don't you do this? You're stupid. It's just to let people know how dominant I can be and how right I always am. That just goes back to the other, fear of what people will think. What do you guys think of this? Is it okay? Is it good? Is it bad? It's not good, is it? I should probably do it over again. I'll start over. You know better than I do. It's lack of confidence, fear of what people think. Because at a certain point, kind of what we're saying is that we don't know what we want to do when we grow up. It's probably because we so lack confidence. That's me. That's on me. I'm not saying that about you. I'm saying I so lack confidence that I don't ever think that I have the right to be no, I'm right about this. This is the best way to go. Because who do I think I am? Well, I'm a guy who's been doing this for over 20 years. Mm-hmm. That's not insignificant.
No. Now, is that your anxiety, or is that your Westernism?
It's a good question. If you're a Midwesterner, aren't you just anxious?
I don't know.
I grew up on the East Coast, though, so I've lived here longer than anywhere else, but I definitely think it's anxiety, because it just spirals pretty quickly, which is not helpful. But it also could just be general politeness. It may not be Midwestern, but it might be the way I grew up, and that's in your bones. That's not going away.
Yeah.
I can't even with any confidence say that I'm confident.
Yeah, we can do. Can we do it? I'm not sure.
We could. Well,
maybe under the right circumstances, perhaps we could, but I don't know.
We've gotten nowhere. We've just spiraled. Hey, want to listen to people have no opinion, give you no helpful advice, talk about how old they are, and then just come back around and be life is meaningless. Have a good day. That's what we've just done.
Well, I think we now know how we need to end every show. Life is meaningless. Thanks for listening to Uncle Weepy's Depression Dungeon. We hope you've enjoyed what you've heard, and hopefully you got something good from it. If you want to be part of the conversation, you can reach us on Twitter at Uncle Weepy. You can look for Uncle Weepy's Depression Dungeon on Facebook, or you can just send a regular old email to talk@uncleweepy.show. Our hope is that we can help you And in order to do that, there are a couple of things you can do to help us. First, please rate and review this show on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you happen to subscribe. The more ratings and reviews we get, the more likely the podcast robots that run the world are to suggest this show to someone else. And that means more help for everybody. We all win. Second, if you like what you hear, support us on Patreon. Supporters of the show will gain access to exclusive content and other fun things that we haven't even dreamed of yet. Go to patreon.com/Uncle Weepy today to give us some of your money. And thanks again for listening. We'll see you next week.